We have our first question from the community today. Imagine you are an athlete in between levels. You are able to do a few advanced movements like pull-ups, wall balls with a 6 kilograms or 9, dumbbell snatch with a 10 or 17.5, and kettlebell swings. But depending on the Metcon, sometimes it's more consistent, sometimes less. So the question from one of our members is, how to choose weights in Metcons? Should you scale down to keep good form and intensity, or scale up and accept you're going slower sometimes but heavier?
Being in between two worlds on gymnastics or on weights, I think it's something that we all have. If I just pick a movement, power cleans, there is gonna be a weight at which we're all in between two worlds. Maybe for some it's higher than the RX on the board, but eventually you won't be able to do X amount of reps and hold the stimulus of the Metcon with a certain weight. So that thing, I think it's normal. The same with the gymnastics. There will always be a variation of pull-ups. Eventually you will reach your limit. Like maybe I can do 20 keeping pull-ups, but I can only do 3 muscle-ups in a row. So eventually there is a limit for everybody on everything. So I think that's just normal. Everybody has that. But the question being, what should you choose in the Metcon? The general rule is always do it with good technique. Because as far as I remember from the question, because I also read it when it came into the mail, is that I can do X amount of reps and then eventually my technique breakdown, which for all of us is at a certain point. So it all depends on the stimulus, what's the requirement stimulus of the Metcon, because technique goes in front of everything. We first want to move well with a certain weight. We want to be able to repeat that movement for a considerable amount of reps under fatigue and still be at good technique. Good technique, for those that go deeper into CrossFit, is good technique doesn't mean perfect technique. It's like it's normal that technique breaks down to a certain point under fatigue, but it should never become dangerous. Mm-hmm. So this is something, that's why the coach is there, right? To check that how would you say it? The bottom line of what is acceptable, that is not, that nobody goes under it. Because rounded back deadlifts under fatigue, it's not acceptable. So when we, or the person in question, is choosing weights for the Metcon, this is what one of the requirements is. How many reps can I do under fatigue in sets of how many reps can I work at that weight and still have acceptable, good technique that keeps me safe? That it breaks down is normal under fatigue. It doesn't need to be perfect, because if it's perfect, then as a coach we should scale you up. Because if you're looking too perfect, it means you can stress yourself a little bit more and still be safe. So it depends, like in a lot of things, technique is always first. If you can only do 2-3 pull-ups, if you can only do 3 or 6 smooth reps with a 6 kilogram wall ball, or only one total set with a 16 kilogram wall ball, and then technique starts breaking down, then you should scale. So I think the important part will be that you listen very carefully during the whiteboard brief of the coach. What is the goal, idea of today's workout? And that can be expressed in, you should be able to move this kettlebell, it's a 16 kilogram kettlebell on the RX today in sets of 15, for example. Or he might say, it's a 5-round Metcon with kettlebell swings. I would expect you the first 3 rounds to go unbroken, and if afterwards you start breaking up the sets, that's okay. So he's explaining you how you should move at what speed in what type of sets in the Metcon. So he's explaining you the stimulus, because that will create a certain intensity, and intensity is what will push your fitness forward. If you're going to be taking a kettlebell that is too heavy, and instead of 15 reps, if that's what the coach said, you're going to start doing sets of 5, what's going to happen is you're going to be doing 3 sets of 5 instead of 1 set of 15, and it means you're going to be resting a lot. And then the intensity, the heart rate, how hard the workout feels is going to go down. And then we're missing a little bit what the goal is of the workout, because in the end, the goal of a Metcon is not to prove that you can do 3 reps RX. The goal of a Metcon is to move at a certain speed And then it will depend on your strengths and weaknesses, what choices you're going to make on weights, on gymnastic movements, to be able to work at that speed. So keep in mind that, we do get some strength stimulus out of the Metcon. You get some muscle endurance benefits from there, but most of the time we're working with 40 to 60% of our 1 rep max. So the Metcon is the cardio element of the hour. Not necessarily, in most cases, sometimes it is, but in most cases it's not a strength. It's not the moment where you're going to get absolute strength. Then the main question, of course, would be, after I say all this, is okay, but how do I get from a 12 kilogram kettlebell to a 16 kilogram kettlebell in the Metcon? 1, consistent training. Most of our trainings are full body. So if you consistently show up, over time, you're going to get stronger, you're going to get fitter, and things will just progress, the natural cause, just by showing up. You do a little bit of everything. But then the second part will be take the strength work serious. On certain days, I've been putting more strength in. That could be absolute strength, where we lift 1 to 6 reps. It can be 4 sets, it can be 8 sets of 2, it can be many things, 7 sets of 1. The goal is to build absolute strength, that 1 rep max strength to go up. We have moments where we maybe do 8 to 12 reps. It's more of a hypertrophy work, muscle building. It also gives you some muscle endurance benefits. Or we have sets where we go 12 to 20 is pure muscle endurance. So those are there just to get absolute strength up, to get muscle endurance, to add some muscle, just to get strong in general. And those will support what's going to happen in the Metcon. What we often hear on days where it's a strength element or accessory work element, and then at the end the Metcon, is that people say you need to do 4 sets of 8 or 4 sets of 10 back squats, or 4 sets of 8 Bulgarian split squats per leg. The goal here is to challenge yourself. And often what we hear is, I'm not going to go so heavy on this part because I want to still perform in the Metcon. It's not the right mindset to have, because those elements there are to benefit you over time to go faster in the Metcon. So if it's 8 reps on an exercise, and I do that sometimes as a coach, when I see that people are undershooting themselves, they do rep 8 and I say do rep 9, do rep 10, do rep 11, do rep 12. I'm looking at their body language and at their face, and I see if they can do rep 13. If I can push you to 4 or 5 reps more, you're going too light. So I need you to challenge yourself in the accessory work and the strength work as much as you want to challenge yourself in the Metcon. If your goal is to get better in the Metcon, it will support your strength that you will take over into the Metcon. I bet you've also heard this sentence many, many times.
Very often, more than it should. They want to save their legs or save their shoulders for the effort to come. But I think that's going to work against you, looking at the overall picture.
Yeah, it surprises me, because in essence, for years people have asked me again to get more strength focused on the program, and we're doing now. So then I think it's important then that you use the strength. I have also some people in my class that often it's 5 sets of 2, and I tell them 90 seconds rest in between. And they finish in double as fast as anybody else, because they're not taking their breaks. Don't rush the strength part. The strength part is there for a reason, to get strong. So when we program build to a heavy 3 or build to a heavy 2, once it gets heavy, I need you to take your rest. I need you to push. The goal should not be that I can do 4 reps if I'm asking for a 2 or a 3 rep max. You should push closer to the limit, and you should take your rest enough so you recover to do the next set, or at the same weight or slightly heavier. So use the strength. It has its purpose, especially for those of you that feel that you're stuck a little bit and you want to go from 1 pull-up to 3 pull-ups. You want to go from this kettlebell to that kettlebell. Push yourself on the moments that it's important. As a reminder also, when it comes to pull-ups, if you have 1 strict pull-up, it's a start, but the goal should be build the strength to 5 strict pull-ups, because then you will be strong in your shoulders and your back muscles enough to support yourself to start practicing the keeping pull-up. Don't skip steps. So if you're at 1, you should aim to be able to do 2 strict pull-ups, then to do 3, then to do 4, then to do 5. That's why also on today we had pull-ups in the workout, and I'm always telling the people in my class that what is on the board is not set in stone. Today was a workout, a 10-minute AMRAP, and one of the exercises was 9 pull-ups. Today is the perfect day. If you always do keeping pull-ups, to do strict pull-ups. If you always do keeping pull-ups, maybe to do chest to bars. If you always do ring rows, do banded, do ring pull-ups, do inverted rows, do another variation. The key to getting stronger is variation. Variation of directions you pull in, get those muscles strong. So if I want to get stronger in kettlebell swings, I won't get there by doing more kettlebell swings. It will help because you need to build consistency. Like I said, consistency, good technique, it helps for muscle endurance. But the other step will be analyze a little bit. This move, kettlebell swings, what muscles does it use? It uses the legs, butt muscles, lower back, maybe it's a little bit of grip. Maybe you could say it's a little bit of shoulders because you're going overhead in an American one to stabilize it. But let's say it's mainly legs. So on days that we program leg exercises and deadlifts and good mornings and whatever, take that serious, because if you can get stronger in those exercises, it will transfer to your overall strength to do that kettlebell swing. So take that work serious. You need to earn heavier weights. You need to earn the advanced movements by working and strengthening the body to be able to do them. Don't try to skip steps. And yeah, in the kettlebell swing is a good example of if I'm in between weights, depending on what the workout is, you can talk to the coach, and maybe some workouts will be a good idea to do Russian and go heavier. Don't go all the way overhead, but mainly because the person said sometimes a bit scared to go with the heavier weights in the Metcon. And on the American kettlebell swing, I'm sure it is because the kettlebell goes overhead. Go heavier, but do Russian ones and really squeeze your butt, squeeze your legs, and you can still get a good training in, and it will still benefit your kettlebell swings at 12 kilos to do a 16 kilogram Russian one or a 20 kilogram Russian one. Depends a little bit. Or maybe you will do the 16 overhead, but if the workout asks for sets of 20, maybe it will be 10. But talk to the coach. Whatever is on the board, it's the main idea. It's not set in stone, but you need to communicate. And the coach will help you to find variations for the specific things that you want to improve, and find ideas and talk a bit with you, like what would be a good idea for today to do. But take your accessory work and your strength work serious. Be sure to, in the Metcon, to pick weights that fit with the stimulus. Good technique comes first. Build good technique consistency over time. And talk to your coach to see if there's any changes or that we could do that would help your specific cause. So scale the Metcon when needed, smash the accessory work. Strong muscles make advanced movements feel easy, not the other way around.
Very cool. It's like a lot about mechanics, consistency, intensity.
Yeah, on purpose I didn't want to use those words, because then we're going to have to go in depth and maybe it sounds a bit technical. But yeah, learn movement, good movement first. Mechanics. Learn to do big sets under fatigue. And when I say big sets, it's like when would I scale up is when you would... when you know at a certain weight you want to scale up to, you can keep good form, you know you can keep on moving, you keep the intended stimulus, and you don't spend more time resting than working. And as a rule of thumb, I would say, depending on the exercise, because this number doesn't apply to every exercise, but let's say kettlebell swings. The moment you can do 15 reps unbroken, 15 to 20 reps unbroken at the kettlebell weight, I'm sure you can do slightly less reps, maybe 10 unbroken at a heavier weight. And I think if you can do 10 to 15 reps in a Metcon, I think it's a big enough volume to keep on moving. But again, it's not a set amount just for all exercise. It depends. Like we want to have 5 strict pull-ups before we do keeping pull-ups, depending on the Metcon. But again, 40 to 60% of your 1 rep max usually using Metcons. So then it's important for you to get your 1 rep max up. So kill the accessory work, kill the strength work, stay consistent in your Metcons, talk to your coach, and bring variation. Don't just always blindly follow what's on the board, or don't think that banded pull-ups is the magic. No, variation. As much variation as you can. For those listening, want to get better at their pull-ups, set yourself a target. Every time it's pull-ups, I do another variation. Never 2 times in a row ring rows. Never 2 times in a row banded pull-ups. Set yourself a target like, I did banded pull-ups. Yeah, last time, I'm not doing banded pull-ups this time. Ask your coach for a variation and he'll help you.
This is very good. This is golden. All right. Juana, thank you for your question. I hope we gave you some guidelines from here forward. Thank you for listening. Subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. And remember, your questions feed our podcast. So please, send anything that is on your mind, CrossFit related. See you soon.